Okay.
How did you find the last one?
I enjoyed myself last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you ready for another batch of videos?
I mean, I yes, of course. I don't know what's coming. Me when I get angry. Me explaining why I got angry. You know, the problem with anger is when people don't own it, right? It's like everyone gets angry. But it's when we don't own that we're angry and then it comes out in other ways, which often are more destructive. And so in a way, that contrast is the very problem. It's like when someone is not owning the anger and pretending it's not them, and then the issue doesn't really get resolved. It's not a very cute cat either. I mean, I feel like when I was earlier on in my own therapeutic journey, it took me a few years to even get to the point I would get close to sitting with stuff. And I think that is what it can feel like. And I think that's also the fear that people have, is that if they start to feel into those feelings, then they're not going to be able to get off the fire, right? The defense is it feels like it's better not to even touch into it, because if you do touch into it, what if you're going to get sucked into that vortex? That's not actually what happens, but that's the fear of what's going to happen. That's from the film Dodgeball, right?
Yeah.
It's a great film. I think, well, in a way, as much as one can influence it, which is not always as much as you would like, part of the therapist's job is to make it not feel like that, right? Like it's to help the person you're working with uncover and touch into places as they're ready to see them. And of course, sometimes life has a different agenda and things move faster. But the skill of part of the skill you hopefully develop as a therapist is to find the edges where someone is and to gently press into those and to try and help people see things. But if it feels too much like that, people don't stay with the process. And so that there is there's an art. I think sometimes that's how it feels regardless, but the hope is that it doesn't feel too much that way. Glad to see so many embracing therapy. A few of you need an exorcism as well, but baby steps. I remember going to yoga classes in 1998, 1999. Yoga then was very different to how yoga is now. And when things get popularized in a way, that's great, because a lot more people will access things that can be positive. But also the dangerous things get massively watered down. And so when I read this, what I hear is a lot of people embracing therapy, but not actually necessarily doing the work and going to the dark places. And so the idea of the exorcism is like, you need to get the stuff out.
I am sick. I am sick of you. And when I'm not sick, I'm tired. I am sick and tired.
Oh man, people pleasing, it's a tricky one, right? We've got to, yes, we of course we want to be kind and respectful and sensitive to each other, but we've also just got to take care of ourselves. And taking care of everyone else in the hope that then we'll get taken care of is a really bad strategy. Me, after finishing yet another therapy session where I spent the entire time assuring my therapist I'm fine when I am in fact very unfine. Why are you like this? Do you know what as well? Obviously, I don't know this particular bird's therapeutic work, but chances are the therapist doesn't believe they're fine. It's like, they who protest too much. And, it's like someone comes in and they're constantly trying to, say they're fine and defenses, but what I sometimes feel like saying, and I have said it before, it's like, well, if everything's so fine, why are you here? You know, and it does take courage to go to those difficult places. It does take courage to open up. And sometimes part of the job of the therapist is to build the safety in the relationship that person feels able to go to those places. But in a way, no one's fine, and that's fine.
Can someone please tell me why we pay to go to therapy to talk about people who should be in therapy? Like, what about not my problems, not my bill? I'm going to have a drink.
She's cool. I think what we're speaking to here is that as we do the work, we start to develop a new vocabulary, language, a new understanding, and in a way, like a foot gets placed into a new way of being. But sometimes there's like a toe or a half a foot there, and the rest of us is still then back in the old patterns and the old issues. And it's like we can have those moments where we suddenly realize that things can be different, and there's like a sense of potential, and there's an awareness, and there's maybe more kindness that comes in. Psychologically, what's happening is it's a transition, and we might dip a toe in, and then we come back, and then a few more toes, and then we get half a foot in, and then gradually we move our sort of center of gravity into being more grounded in that new place. But we have to go through that transition. Like therapist, you need to open up more. Me, I can't. Therapist, why not? Me, let me visualize it for you. But that is the fear, isn't it? It's like the fear is that if we open up a little bit, then everything is going to flood out. But what's the alternative? You know, it's like at some point it's going to come flooding out. And part of it is learning the strategies, building the safety, learning how to self-regulate our nervous system so when things come, we're able to stay present with them. It's like the real gifts and joy in life is not in the past and not in the future, it's being here. But to be here, we've got to process and let go of that stuff. I guess yes, correct. And I want to just reassure this feline participant has its place, right? Like I think sometimes people's fear is we have to be completely hardline about these things. People's fear of what needs to happen is often not the reality. Like, I need to never do these things again. I have to completely stop them. We need to get to a place where we're not trying to move away from that. We're just moving towards something that's healthier and something that feels better for us. And periods of abstinence can be helpful sometimes on the pathway towards it. So Despina and Jeremiah have asked me to ask you to make their lives easier. But if you see memes on social media you'd like me to react to, if you can tag me on the different platforms, on most of the platforms, it's at Alex Howard Therapy. If you can tag me, they will then go and look for those tags, and then I will react to more of these memes.